Hi, this is Traycee Meyer with BU Leadership, Executive Coaching and Training. And I'm very excited that you found my YouTube channel where you can watch lots of inspiring and thought-provoking videos. I've written a book too called The Leadership Contradiction, Choosing a Path of Love and Kindness. Lots of things to share with you from the book and also from my coaching practice. Please let me know in the link below what else you'd like to see. I look forward to seeing you at the end of the video. Have a wonderful day.
Well, great question. I've been doing this for a while, but in my kind of experience, I think a couple things. One is a passion to inspire, a passion to create, and then a passion to motivate others, not only myself motivating our team, but motivating others. Also, I believe knowing your weaknesses as well as knowing your strengths, knowing what you might have opportunities to grow from. And then I think the ability to encourage creativity and fearlessness in the entire process. So I love working in that space. I love working in a creative, collaborative environment. So I think if you have those things coming together, you build a very strong and dynamic, very forward-thinking team.
So my first thought for a great hospitality leader is somebody who leads by example. I think it's really important for the leader to set the tone for the entire organization. I think leading by example, employees earn, leading by example, employees have to have trust and confidence in their leader. They need to know leaders have the abilities to do the job. And I think confidence and trust is a big part of the relationship between the employee and the leader. I also think a leader with an open mind, kindness, and patience is very important. And I think more so today than ever.
I think that's a great question. And I think it's answered really in two parts. I think the first part is, who are we leading and what is that mission? If you're looking at the generational opportunities that the hospitality industry has anymore, those of us that have been doing this for a minute or two have to really adapt to individuals that have a completely different background that we may have been familiar with. And I think the objective of whatever mission we may be leading is a little bit different than we may have experienced before.
It's really somebody that is able to endear themselves to the team. I think it's all about capturing those hearts of the folks that you work with and being kind of the chameleon that finds out what makes people tick, what's important to them, how can you support them, what turns them off, and then if you put that emotional deposit into that bank account, even when things get rough at times, you can withdraw those positive vibes that you would be able to get throughout the years and time that you spent with folks. And then, you'll be able to overcome, issues and maybe sometimes negative situations. And that's it for me. It's really about that human connection.
For sales and operations, I think the biggest opportunity that both of those teams have is to improve their listening skills. I think far and away, we have a challenge with being able to really understand what customers and guests have to say. And we're thinking sometimes we already have their answer when they're trying to explain that answer to us as best they possibly can without us being able to fully comprehend it when they're telling us. I think the listening skill opportunity is certainly one that both sales and operations would really benefit from.
Yeah, great question. I think we're always looking for what can we do next? What's the next problem to solve, right? And for me, of what I'm seeing is we're so far behind on technology in the hospitality industry. And I understand, right? Technology is moving forward so rapidly and so fast. And by the time you implement something, it's probably the old thing already again. And with that, the other challenge is, right? None of us in hospitality, we're not tech people. We're not a technology company. We're hospitality to its core. And so everything we do is always going to be an outsourced issue. And so if there's one thing I wish I could change today is find ways to incorporate new technology into your business faster. And, you know, and if somebody does make a change in technology, it's always a rollout that takes 4 to 5 years, and there's so many issues that come along. And there's got to be a better way to incorporate technology faster and better. Because at the end of the day, right, we all have experiences with technology of how it makes our life easier. Technology should make our travel and having experiences easier and not more complicated. And so there's a lot of work that can be done with incorporating technology in the hospitality industry to make everyone's life easier and more efficient and make travel more fun again.
Wow, great question. I think the way things are moving with everything going on in the world we live in today, it's very fluid. Things are ever changing. I think for myself, look to maybe automate some of the processes as much as possible, kind of the mundane things that we go through, and kind of trying to develop business development, kind of data analytics, kind of getting maybe third-party vendors to support the sales efforts and kind of mining that information. Also to continue to create a very entrepreneurial culture, a non-cookie cutter kind of sales process where the sellers or the business leaders are able to think for themselves, present their business, and then also present opportunities, not only from a transactional standpoint, but from a long game standpoint. So getting our team to kind of look a little bit more in a broader scope, I think would be great. And then, you know, as important as data is, using analytics and data to kind of increase their efficiencies. Okay.
It's a bit of a radical approach, but I would put everybody on the team, including myself, on a commission-based compensation model, where everything is really based on goals that you need to achieve, both, you know, sales booking goals as well as operational excellence goals. And then, you know, make that bonus-based commission program basically kind of base it that you can really, let's say, double your typical salary. So it should be worth it to really put some extra oomph into it, and also make it worth the risk. Because I think what happens is, you know, we're highly compensated, and everybody's on bonus programs, but really those bonus programs, in my view, they have no meaning, because you make your bonus or you don't make your bonus, okay, it's fine, because nothing is going to change. But if your entire compensation is based on really the performance that needs to be put to place on a daily basis, then you can really supercharge performance. And it's all those goals really should be based on, you know, three simple things. It's people, product, profit, in that order. And so all those goals should be based on that model. And then it really, you know, it requires us to be not an employee, but really an entrepreneur. You know, if my livelihood depends on my performance on a single basis, just like a business owner is, you're going to work differently.
Sure. I'll give you one example. I have a great passion and take a great amount of pride in kind of working with my team and watching them grow, watching actualize their potential. One of the folks that I used to work with was a young girl. At that time, she was a dreamer, and she was working in one of our hotels, and she was working in the coffee stand as the barista. And she was quite young, and she, you know, the sales team got very attached to her. She'd come in and, you know, just kind of talk with us. And, you know, she had a great personality. She had great work ethic. And I always kind of kept my eye on her. And then one day, the opportunity for the sales coordinator opened up. And, she did not have any sales experience. She didn't really even have office experience, but she had that it factor that you always try to find, right? So we got with our sales team and we kind of explored the idea of bringing her onto the team, even with no real knowledge of sales background or even office procedures. So we ran this by, the powers that be in the hotel, and they were somewhat resistant to it just because of these factors. But myself and the team basically really wanted her to join the organization. She thought she'd be a great fit. She worked well with the other departments. So long story short, she came in and we trained her from ground zero, on all the fun stuff in the sales world. But she did great. She was fearless. She worked great. Long story short, she became a catering manager. And then she went on and moved on, and now she's director of catering at a really kind of high-profile hotel here in the area. But watching her develop, watching her actualize her potential, gain confidence that she didn't know she had, but she was also in a very supportive environment from the entire organization, from the team. So that was probably one of the most kind of rewarding things that we've experienced, all of us. We're all very close. So all of us watching this person kind of grow and become very, very successful. And, she did have some doubters, but she proved them wrong. So that's a great kind of experience for us.
So my favorite stories are the stories of team success. So sometimes there are challenges in the hotels. Sometimes, an example, we've overbooked groups. Perhaps we don't have enough meeting space for breakfast. And those times when the different departments brainstorm, they figure out a solution to make it work. It's just magical synchronicity that happens, and we get the job done, and we talk about it after, and it's just a great feeling.
Many, many years ago, Traycee, when I had a guest that was staying in our hotel that was very concerned about making sure that they got woken up at the appropriate time. They needed a wake-up call, and they weren't 100% familiar or comfortable with the automated service, waking them up in the middle of the night. So I gave them my watch, which had a stopwatch feature on it, an alarm feature on it. I gave it to this guest to utilize that evening, and it was the nicest positive reception from that guest after they had checked out of the hotel. And that was at a period of time that was really forming my career in the hospitality industry. And I've held on to that story these many years later.
Here's a fun experience I've had. I was working at a resort in Scottsdale, Arizona, and once a year it's monsoon season. And I had like a mid shift at the desk where you come in at 8 or 9 and go home at 4 and 5, and it was get towards the end of my shift, and you just look forward to going home. And all of a sudden the clouds move in, and we had a flash flood that just came through the resort, and it was bonkers. It was crazy. I get this call from a room, and the guest tells me, "So we just had a river come through our hotel room." I was like, "What?" So I go to check it out, and this guy was not kidding. You could see inside the room of how high the water came through. There was a marking on the wall, and I just couldn't believe it. And the guest too, he was just in disbelief. All of the guests' clothes got soaking wet, and and this guy was checking out the next day, and I was like, "So we kind of get to fix your clothes here, right?" And this guy was asking, "Yeah, can you laundry them?" And I said, yeah, I'll take care of it. And who would have thought that overnight laundry isn't really an option? And I couldn't find anything. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to take the clothes home and I'm going to do the guest laundry at home. And my wife, she was like, "You did what? Never again will you bring home a guest laundry to do." And I said, what other choice did I have? So I did laundry at home and brought it back to the next day so the guests could go home. But it was wild. Yeah, the flash flood that came to the resort that day. So that was a fun, memorable experience to remember of. just working through a flash flood.
It's really the antics of the people that you work with, and there's one that always comes to mind, and it was a silly situation, and probably I was the only one that was laughing about it, maybe because I was the only one around. But it was at a time when there was this show, and I've never actually even seen it. It was called Duck Dynasty or something like that. And it was Halloween, and we had that sales coordinator. She dressed up as one of the characters. And then she was also acting that person out. And she was rolling on the ground in the sales office. And again, I've never seen the show, but it was just so funny what she did and how creative she was. That's one thing that always comes to mind. Is probably the funniest thing that I've experienced.